Whether you conceal something or you bring it forth, يَعْلَمَهُ Allah. Allah knows. Why is Imam an-Nawawi bringing the likes of these verses? Because some people have understood that intention talaffuz ala lisan. What time is it, Sheikh?
30.
9:30.
9:30.
There's some people, they say niyyah out loud. If you go and you look in the explanation of Riyad al-Salihin by Sheikh al-Imam Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymeen, he mentions the statement about the niyyah, and then he mentions the statements of Imam an-Nawawi. As Imam an-Nawawi, he has fatwa, meaning questions and answers. A lot of people don't know that. He has explanation of Sahih Muslim, Imam an-Nawawi. A lot of people don't know that. He's famous for his 40 hadith. People know that. And he has other books. He was a great imam. And he did a lot at a young age, and he died at a young age. This Imam an-Nawawi, he mentioned, and Shaykh al-Uthaymeen brings this point out, that mahalaha qalb, the place for intention is in the heart. Showing that intention basically is something that a person has, as they say in Arabic, za'ama. They decide to do something. Al-qasid, they have an aim. And normally that starts here. You sit and you think about it, and you desire it, and then you act upon it. And nobody will never know like what you're thinking, what you desire. You sit here and you think, boy, I'm hungry. Nobody knows. And you go to the refrigerator and you get the meat out and you get the bread. Then your wife, she comes and you say, what are you doing, hon? You just ate like a half hour ago. But you were sitting there, you had an intention to go eat. So you went to the refrigerator. Likewise, you have an intention to make wudu. In your heart, you don't go to the basin and you get a rag and you just start washing up. That's not wudu. You go to the basin, you say Bismillah, you put the water in your hand, then you wash like this 3 times. This is clear, you're making ablution. So Shaykh, he's mentioning the place for intention, mahalaha qalb. This is where the intention is, in the heart. Therefore, Imam ibn Uthaymeen, we said, in accordance with the verses that Imam Nawawi quoted, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who used to make salah. Horrible. He used to make, it's bad, Allah musta'an, miskeen. He used to make wudu. He used to make salah. وَكَانَ يَحُجْ, he made the hajj. وَلَمْ يَتَلَحْفَظْ بِالنِّيَّةِ, and the Prophet never made what he's getting ready to do voiced on his tongue. And Shaykh al-Muqbil, he was asked in his fatwa called Ijabat al-Sa'il, the first chapter on Tahara. He was asked, هل تلحفظ يعني بالنية بدعة, is making what's in your heart vocal for your actions innovation or not? And he mentioned that this is innovation. He said, because the Prophet didn't do it. The Prophet didn't say, alayhi salam, oh Allah, I'm getting ready to make wudu for dhuhr. Then he wash. He didn't do it. He decided to do it in his heart, and he did it. He didn't stand, face the Kaaba, the Qibla, and say, oh Allah, I need to make 4 raka'at of dhuhr on this Friday, astaghfirullah, Thursday, November he didn't do it. Oh, what Shawwal, Allahu Akbar. Nah, he didn't do it. So this is a misconception that, wallahi, you'll be surprised how many Muslims they do this. They stand, and if you see him standing like this, wallahi, he's making either dua, which is incorrect, or he's making what he thinks niyyah, he has to voice it. And tukhfuhu aw tubduhu ya'lamuhu Allah. That's why Imam an-Nawawi quoted that verse. Whether you say it or you don't, Allah knows it. He knows what? Innama a'malu bin-niyyah. That you have an intention to do an action that governs something that Allah requested from you, something that Allah loves from you, something that Allah is pleased with you doing. And all of this is what's called shara'an. This is what makes things diniya, deen. So, this is something that when we talk about the hadith in the ma'amal binyat, you should understand, because based on this, some of the ulama have mentioned everything doesn't require niyyah. And you can understand from the verses you heard, from the explanation that ulama have given, that some things don't require niyyah. Like, for example, when they say a person wants to get their haqq back, or izalatul najasa, you have something on your clothes, and this is what the Prophet ﷺ, Salama, she wanted to ask the Prophet something, and it had to do with sexuality and life of the human in that regard. And she said to the Prophet, Inna Allah la yastahi min al-haq, like this. And she said it with fire. Like, so what? I'm going to ask you, this is deen. Then she asked him about ghusl, a lady after intercourse like this. So some people might be bashful, but these are things you have to know, because it's tied to salah. It's tied to your salah being accepted and preparation before you pray. So, this being the case, izalatul najasa is a real issue. Sometime, the baby might be sitting on your lap and she or he pees. What are you going to do? Can you pray in that garment when it dries? No. That's something you have to do to remove the urine. Sometimes things get on the clothes of semen from the human being. This is just how it is. What are you going to do if it dries and you forget, or you put it on and you pray? So some of these things, they don't require intention, because they said this is tarik. You're actually just removing something. And the fact that you're removing something, as this, removing something from the clothing, even if it's considered impure religiously to pray, it doesn't require intention. Somebody took something from the Muslim, wala'iyadu billah. He stole $50. He leaves, then he thinks about, man, subhanAllah, he's a good brother. I shouldn't have stole for him like that. Besides, I have a check, all I have to do is go cash it. He wants to return that person's haqq. He doesn't have to have an intention to go along with that, because he's returning somebody's haqq, and he's not doing it as it relates to directly pleasing Allah. He's giving that person back their right. So issues like that, some of the ulama have mentioned, you don't need an intention, and this is only to show not for every single thing that you need an intention. To go to work, you don't need an intention. But if you want to go to work because Allah told you to provide for your family, and in your chest, when you go out that door, you say, I'm going to work to please Allah because some people are lazy, and I'm going to take care of my family, then for you it becomes ibadah, and for that reason now you need a niyyah. But if you're just going to work as a customary thing, you don't need an intention in order to please Allah, because it's not something that's considered deen. Even though it's from the deen to provide for your family directly, it's not considered deen. So when we talk about this hadith in the ma'amal binyat, let's make sure we understand actions or by intention, meaning those things that are related to the religion. Those things that are related to the religion by way of ibadah. And what is ibadah? Every action and statement, firstly, that Allah, He loves. And that means from the top of the list, He commands you. Because He doesn't command you something except He loves it. That which Allah is pleased with. He's not pleased with something except that it's good for you, and again, He commands you. And then that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ma'adha has mentioned in the religion, that's for your benefit, then these things are what falls under the issue of shari'ah, deen. When you talk about the worldly affairs, some of them, even though they can spill over into this category, the origin of them are not directly tied to those issues, so you don't need an intention for those actions. Any questions?
So,
Tafadhal.
so like the things for the dunya, it doesn't need intention, or what? Maybe I misunderstood. How that it comes?
Now, when you talk about things, and this is kind of broad, العبارة الدنيوية هذا يعني واسع. This is broad when you say dunya. Because, for example, again, when you eat and drink, this is issues of the dunya. But you still have a portion of that which Allah told you to do in what's halal. And the
But
portion that you
intention-
can't do that's haram. So
So intention meaning for only ibadah, or intention because the intention is anything that what do you call it, your mind brings. Because the hadith, finishing of the hadith, it says, you know, فَمَنْ نَوَى
وَلِكُلِّ إِمْرٍ مَا نَوَى.
yeah, but then it goes in
أيوة.
وَمَنْ كَانَتْ هِجْرَتَهُ لِلدُّنْيا يُصِيبُهَا.
أيوة.
For-
أو امرأة ينكحها
Yeah.
فهجرته
So even the
إلى ما هاجر
dunya,
عليه.
so this is the attention even for the dunya. So things, because in Arabic intention, niyyah, anything that it occurs to you, you know, in mind.
أيوة.
Yeah. I mean, say for example, I'm gonna warm up my car. That's intention. So that's okay. I mean, I'm asking because that's
لا
what
بأس.
I'm just.
هذا
wanna make
كلام
clear.
طيب لا
Yeah.
بأس إن شاء الله.
I mean,
إن كان يعني أسئلة يعني بقلب يعني خالص لوجه
لا.
كريم
Yeah.
أو مناقشة إن كان فهذا لا بأس. هذا
إن شاء
الدين.
الله. إن شاء
This is
الله.
the deen.
No.
If he's asking because really he just wants to know, or he's debating something, as long as the heart is clear, this is good Islam.
Not, just
that's
because of,
clear.
yeah.
When you talk, and that's why I said to him, this issue was broad because some things spill over to the side of deen, even
Okay.
though originally they're not deen.
Okay.
So when we talk about this issue, for example, the rest of the hadith
Okay.
talks about something that's dunya. A man wanted something from dunya. It's clear. He wants to achieve that thing from dunya, and then one is specific to take a lady's hand in marriage. Then the Prophet said, فَهِجْرَتُهُ إِلَى مَا هَاجَرَ إِلَيْهِ. Then he will get what he migrated for, meaning what he went after. Because the man left one land and went to the other land, supposedly to marry this lady, and he didn't go to that land to worship Allah because it was difficulty in one place to go to another place to worship Allah. He went just to get that lady. So he's asking, if the issue is only deen, then why is it in the hadith it mentioned dunya too? This is why in the beginning we said Ibn Daqiq al-Eid gave two definitions to innama. Yufid al-hasr, which means like something inside of parentheses, meaning it's general. Everything you have to have intention. But then he also mentioned something that's makhsus, that's specific to a certain affair, and he made clear those things or shara'an, deen. So how do you work with both of those meanings without seemingly having contradiction? This is the question. The answer to that is, you need an intention, as he's saying, istilahan. Technically it means one thing, and lughatan it means something else. If we're talking about lughatan, meaning linguistically in the Arabic language, yeah, whatever comes to your mind, this is niyyah. Hakada. And I always tell the students, and the issues of words, there are two. Lughatan and istilahan. Like for example, salah. Salah, linguistically it means to make dua. But linguistically it means to make dua at certain times, in certain positions that Allah mentioned for us, and it's called salah too. So when we talk about intention, lughatan, yeah, in the Arabic language it means whatever comes to mind. If it's good, if it's bad, if it makes sense, it's crazy, it's shout out, this is niyyah. Sahih, this is right. But when we talk about innama a'mal bin niyat, as it relates to who's going to get that reward and who's going to be negligent, as this is what the hadith is showing. The one who makes the intention for Allah and His Messenger, as the rest of the hadith go, man kanat hijratuhu ila Allah wa rasuluhu. This is different. He's making intention to do something, of course, back then for Allah and His Messenger, because the Messenger was alive. And this didn't mean for the Messenger as an Arab, as a person. This means what he told you, then you take that from the religion and you do it, but really you're pleasing Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala. But the term was Allah and His Messenger. Then your reward is not going to be like the one, what your outcome is not going to be like the one who did something, the dunya, yusibuha or amra'atan yankihuha. It's going to be different. If you make an intention for something that is dunya, that's all you want to get. And it might be something blessed in it, or it might be something that's lu'um, bad, wicked, cursed, as they say. But if you make an intention to do something for Allah, and you don't make it up, it's what Allah said do, and you do it to get reward from Allah, you'll never go wrong. So this, when he says, the Prophet said, in the Mahmal bin Niyat, he's showing that, yeah, everything has an intention linguistically, as you're saying, but the rest of the hadith separates the two. The difference between the one who has an intention, just generally, linguistically, and the one religiously that has an intention. The one that has an intention religiously is going to include his dunya. Whereas the one who has an intention just for worldly affairs, la yadulla ala shay. It won't have anything to do with the religion. So showing which one is better and which one is best for the servant of Allah. Therefore, yes, things of dunya have intention. If you're talking about a person makes his mind up to do this, she decides to do that. But the hadith starts out one way and it ends the other way. And that's why some of the scholars say, like Imam Nawawi in the Riyadh Salihin, fi jamil a'mal al-aqwal, for every action and statement. But then he comes back and specifies shar'an, that Allah commands you, that has to do directly with the religion, that is from the affairs of getting closer to Allah Ta'ala. You have to have a niyyah in order to have it accepted. As some of them say, li sihhati a'mal, in order for the action to be correct. Some of them say, li kamal a'mal, in order for the action to even be considered, you have to have a niyyah. But this is religious. Because if not, then who are you doing it for? But if you're doing it for Allah Ta'ala, then you yourself have to make sure that is the case. And we'll leave with this point as the famous hadith and the hadith al-Qudsi for the hadith al-Qudsi. Meaning that Allah told the Prophet, but this is not like Quran, Allah telling the Prophet. This is called hadith Qudsi. There are 3 men that will come Yawm al-Qiyamah. One of them, he memorized the Quran and he used to teach it to others. What a virtuous thing. Another man, he fought in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This doesn't mean terrorism, as we have to see this over and over again, because the Muslims are twisted. If somebody invades your land and you have to fight for your deen, for your life, for your honor, for your family, this is what's called for Allah's sake. Meaning, Allah commanded you to defend all of those things. Not going to bomb somebody, not killing the Muslim unjustly, not harming somebody because they believe Christianity, Judaism, or Hinduism. No. Someone dies like this is a virtuous thing. Meaning, defending his life, his honor, his deen, and his family. And then a man, he gave charity in great amounts. Again, one of the greatest things that a person can do in any religion, to give charity like that. On the day of judgment, Allah Ta'ala will bring those 3. And don't lose them, we're talking about niyyah, as it relates to deen and dunya. If a man married a lady and he came Yawm al-Qiyamah and Allah asked him, why did you marry the lady? He said, because she was beautiful. Khalas, la alayhi shay. There's nothing upon him. And the Prophet mentioned in the hadith, tazawwaj mar'a li arba'. Men marry women for 4 reasons. They translate this hadith wrong. They translated marry for 4 reasons. No, this is not the correct meaning. It said tazawwaja li arba'. Men marry for 4 reasons, not marry for 4 reasons, then he give you the choice. La. Jamaliha, for her beauty. And we know how the fitna of a woman, the beauty is a fitna. Wali amwaliha, for her money. Sometimes woman, she have money, she banked up, historically. And she might not need a man for nothing else but what a lady needs a man for. You marry her for her money. Wali nasabiha, she comes from a prestigious family. You marry into that family, you good. They're going to take care of you, and you got honor and protection and strength. Wali diniha, the last thing for her deen. You come here, Qiyamah, say I married her for her money, oh Allah. I married her because she was beautiful. I married her for status. Allah not going to tell you going to the fire. That's dunya. And you got that. You say I married her for deen, mashallah, tabarakallah. You're going to get a great reward because the Prophet told you to do that. marry the one for the deen. In this other hadith, the man gave his money. Allah asked him, what did he do? He said, oh, I gave my money for your sake, oh Allah, meaning for your reward. And he did, he gave a lot of money. But Allah talked about what was in his chest, his niyyah. He said, kadabta, you have lied. He said, you only gave money, so they will be said, that man is Kareem, he's generous. MashaAllah, he gives a lot of money. And Allah said, and you did get that in the mahmalu biniyat. You did something with the intention to get that result, you got it. But you were supposed to do that for Allah's sake because He commanded you to give. He told the angel, now drag him on his face into the fire. What ayathu billah. And you had the man, he swore, oh, I taught the Quran, I taught religious knowledge for your sake. Allah said, what'd you do? He boasted in this life. That day, he tell Allah like he was sincere. Allah said, yeah, and you did do that. So that people will say, MashaAllah, alim kabir, hafiz, he got ilm. And indeed they said that. And that's what you saw. You didn't do it just for Allah's sake. You did it so people can praise you and say, MashaAllah. And you got that. That's what you saw. That's what you got. Drag him on his face to the fire. He's a liar. I didn't do it for my reward. And then the last man, Mada Yani, the one who gave money, the one who Barakallahu Fikum taught, and the one who died. That was his case too. He swore he did it, you know. And Allah said, you only did it to be said that you're courageous. Rajulun shaja'. Not because he was doing it sincerely for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. So he's brave, mashallah. And the people said that about you. You got what you saw. Now drag him on his face into the fire. So how the fuck between hada wa hada? This is the difference between that and this. Barakallah. في شيء فائدة من عندك. No, you have some benefit to bring? I heard you beat like, tell them this. Got some dalil, mashallah. وأنت أخ في شيء ما في أسئلة ولا شيء.
So, like you say, every action is judged by the intention.
Nah.
Okay, how do you approach the, say for instance, if you want to make the istikhara prayer, you want to make prayer for the rain, or what a prayer, you don't state the intention, or you just, how do you approach that? Since you know you have to make your intention, what should be the proper way to approach that?
Again, when we say this is why we encourage the people to learn Arabic. All that the board was ta'aban and the marker, but if I could have illustrated, you would have understood a little more about you feel hasr and yani what's maqsoos, what's yani itlaqan. Why they mention all of this? Because in English sometimes they just give you one perspective and it's dry, and it kind of messes up the theory behind all of this. When we say make an intention, again, people made it like when you're mad and you talk to yourself, I don't care, I'm gonna kick his behind. That's not intention. He's just ventilating, you see? But he's stating what he's gonna do. I'll bust his head when he comes through this door. You say he's crazy, what's wrong with him? Maybe he's drunk. Do you think that's an intention? He's just talking. Maybe your wife get mad, she says, I want a divorce. She's upset. She don't mean it, but she's voicing that. Is that intention? When you're going to Hajj, say, Labbaik Hajjan, Labbaik Hujj Hajjan. I'm here to make Hajj Hajjan as a Hajj. And people tried to say that this is saying intention out loud. Sheikh Mukbil was asked this too. And they tried to say that Imam Shafi'i in his book called which is 3,000 pages, he said this is niyyah. Sheikh Mukbil, he searched, he had the other ulama around him search, and they didn't find it. They combed through and they didn't see it. And he said this is what's called in Arabic maf'ul mutlaqan, meaning yani wasfan. It's a description. You say, oh Allah, I'm coming to make Hajj sincerely as a real Hajj for you. I'm really making a pilgrimage to you. But you're not making intention. Like you say, Allahu Akbar, that's not intention. It's a form of praising Allah. So when you go to Hajj, you say, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik. That's not intention. That's talbiyah, like a type of glorification, testification, but it's not intention. So people took that, and we're talking about Arabs. The know the Arabic language, but then yuridu bi yani haqq al-batil. They use something that's true, but they present it in the wrong way. So there's no such thing as how do you make your intention on the tongue again. This is some old Islam and some books. No, disregard that. What Imam al-Shafi'i said, what Imam al-Nawawi said, what Sheikh Ibn Salih Uthaymeen said, what you can go all the way back to your prophet, you don't find this as a practice. You want to make istikhara and you get up and you want to take a job or you want to marry somebody and you know I'm ready to make istikhara. When you make 2 rakat, you then call the adhan and the qama, and then when you taslim, you say Allahumma astakhira bil ilmika wa astahdiruka bi kutratika. You mention those words that the Prophet said to choose and make a decision. That's istikhara. That's a proof that was your intention. You don't need to say, oh, I'm ready to make istikhara. No. Making an intention means decide to do something. That's all it means. Make a resolve in your heart to do something. You get up right now, you go to the bathroom. Then you come back and we say, what were you doing, Sheikh? You say, I don't know. Something wrong with you. You got to say, I went to wash my hands. That means you had in your heart an intention, an aim to go do something. What did you do? I aim to go and wash my hands. He makes you mad, you get up and smack him. Don't do that, but we're just saying. You didn't just smack him like sleepwalking and sit back down. You don't know what you did. You aim. He made me mad. And then it escalated. Then you aim to do something. That's all intention is. In your heart, you decide to do something. You aim to do something. And all of that starts in your heart because it's a feeling. It's an emotion that, as they say, it manifests into actions or statements. And that's what niyyah in English could be based and basically said. An intention is an emotion or a feeling or a decision to do something in statement or action. That's the best way to say what intention is in English. You with me?
Yes, exactly like that.
Huh?
Like the explanation.
Okay, make intention. Say like it was a hijrah, and it's for like you mentioned how it's for them. Hard is a long way away, and then you might be traveling by yourself or with someone. But you want to tell the people back home that you are making Hajj. You are telling the people intently that you're going because you want them to make sure in case something happens to you on your journey that you're going away for a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
So how you handle that? Is that right or wrong?
No, that's just ikhbaran. You just yukhbiruhum an shay. You're just informing them. Again, your intention is solely a decision that you make in your heart. Like you say, I should have did what my first mind told me. Normally, you don't say, I should have told the person what my first mind said. You say, I should have did what my first mind told me. Meaning, your mind told you, your heart told you, don't go to that door, somebody knocked. You want to open the door, and the older somebody ran up in your house. They didn't hurt you, but they took some stuff and left. Man, I should have followed my first mind. That means what you decided to do, what feeling you had in the first place, that's what you should have went with. But you changed. Let me see, it might be. So when you talk about informing somebody, that's not intention. You're simply doing just what you said. You're informing them of what you intend to do. But you're actually deciding, I'm going to Hajj. This is what is the intention. Whenever you start to tell somebody, rule out the issue of niyyah. That's not niyyah anymore. Whenever it's just a thought, a decision, and then you make sure that, okay, that's what I'm really going to do, that's intention. Like they say, she's my intended. Meaning you want to marry a girl. She's my intended. That means he has the plan in his heart to marry her. 6 months later, a year later, next week. That doesn't mean that he's going to say to somebody, I'm marrying her. He can keep it between him and her. That's still his intention, meaning he has a determination to do something in his heart. Then once it manifests, then it's called zawaj. It's not intention anymore. It's called marriage. Is that clear? Yes, أقول قولي هذا واستغفر لكم وسائر المسلمين ذنبا إنه غفور رحيم صلى الله عليه وسلم. جزاكم الله خير.
جزاك الله خير.
جزاك الله خير.